This is a build that was used recently in one of the tournaments on Teapot's channel by a player called Misha. It is a duelist Mirage, and it's actually really good at team fights as well because it has a lot of support through giving Aegis to its allies. It has res potential and can give out boons and can remove boons, so it's really good in team fights in removing the enemy's ability to survive, and then your teammates who are playing DPS and stuff like that, they can get kills because you're removing boons for them. So it's really good in team play. Not so sure about in ranked play, but I played it a little bit in ranked and it seemed pretty good there too, because oftentimes a duelist cannot just play a duelist to win. They have to affect the team fight as well. So this is good at that as well. So I think it'll be pretty good there too, but haven't done too much testing. But what is known is that the build has a lot of survivability through the signet synergy. So you have the trait blurred inscriptions, and every time you use a signet here, you're going to gain distortion, and there's really good synergy there between the signet trait and desert distortion. So you'll be able to use your ambush attacks every time you use distortion, and you've got a lot of distortions because you've got a lot of signets. So normally I would take the signet of illusions, signet of midnight, and signet of the ether package, but we also put in inspiration because that'll give you the swiftness, because Mirage doesn't really get swiftness elsewhere, and we're not going to be using like links or anything for movement speed. So it is nice to get the swiftness from signet of inspiration, but also it's a really low cooldown signet, which will allow you to use more ambushes. And mind you, the ambushes on the Mirage here are really powerful. On the sword you have the daze, so this is really good for this is a scholar berserker build. And you also have the staff ambush. This is more of a condition weapon, but to be honest, the staff auto attack gives you fury and might when it bounces, so that is also pretty decent for power. I mean, you can see these are like 500 hits, so it's not terrible for a power build. And the staff ambush is going to give alacrity, so the more ambushes you're doing, the more alacrity you get, which allows you to use more of your signets and other cooldowns, giving you a lot more sustain and kind of like giving you this alacrity self-perpetuating engine. So it's a really good build for sustain over time. But let's get into the traits. So the chaos traits you're going to be taking are Method of Madness. Whenever you use your heal, you're going to put down a Chaos Storm. So you have the Staff Chaos Storm and you have the Heal Chaos Storm. And this is really good for this build as well because you have the Sword Leap. And whenever you leap through a Chaos field, you will gain Chaos Aura. And Jaunt will also do that as well, and Sword or Staff 2 will also do that, and obviously Staff 4 gives that as well. So you can have a very high uptime on Chaos Armor, which will give you protection. So even though you're pretty squishy with the Berserker Amulet and Scholar Rune, you can get protection, regeneration, and swiftness. And then you will also put weakness, confusion, and cripple on enemies that hit you. So yeah, the Chaos Armor is very strong at allowing you to survive in between your invulnerabilities. So then you have you have the ability to get your Chaos Auras and stuff like that. Then you have Auspicious Anguish, which will cleanse conditions whenever you gain distortion or are CC'd. So essentially you can choose between this and the staff trait. I feel like this is a lot better to take Auspicious Anguish because it basically means that you don't have to worry about conditions ever. So I really like this, but if you're going against, like, this is a very power oriented meta, you can go for the staff trait, but I really like the condition cleanse. And then you're gonna have Bountiful Disillusionment, which will give you a lot of vigor uptime when you use your F2, and obviously it'll give you regen and stability and other boons when you shatter. So you're gonna be shattering a lot on this build. Then you have Inspiration, which will give you the medic's feedback, really good in team fights because when you block projectiles or reflect them, it allows you to get the res a lot more safely, and it prevents the enemy from counter cleaving. So it allows you to secure those res a lot more easily. And then you have the ability to give Aegis to nearby allies whenever you gain distortion. So this is why it's so good in team fights, because whenever you use one of your distort abilities, So for example, I have a clone here. I will distort and my clone will actually get Aegis, as you can see. And since you're distorting so much in these fights, you're giving out a lot of Aegis to your allies that can really prevent the enemy from doing damage. So it's kind of supportive in a way, because you're giving alacrity to nearby allies, right, whenever you use your staff ambush, and you're also giving Aegis whenever you're distorting. And then you have a little bit more Condi Cleanse whenever you shatter. And then you have Blurred Inscriptions, which obviously is going to give you a improved effect on all of your signets, and then distort whenever you use them. Then you have Self-Deception, which is going to give you a clone if you have any other clones active when you use a deception skill. That's only Jaunt on this, but because Jaunt is usable instantly, it's really nice for the burst combo that this build uses, which is your Illusionary Leap, and then you're going to immobilize, then you're going to dodge, use your Mirage Thrust, which will give you a clone, and then you can use Jaunt, which will give you the third clone, and then you can use Mind Rack. So you'll do something like this, and then you'll ambush, and then Jaunt, and then use your F1. So that's kind of like your main burst combo. You're not really too high on burst, it's more about sustained damage, but that is kind of like a combo that you can do. And then you obviously have Desert Distortion. This is going to give you a lot of ambush potential, because whenever you gain Distort, obviously that's going to allow you to ambush. And also whenever you distort, you will create these Mirage clones, so you want to be using these Mirage clones or Mirage mirrors to, when you pick them up, you'll be able to use another ambush. And then you have Dune Cloak. Dune Cloak will remove boons from nearby enemies whenever Mirage Cloak ends. So your dodge and your Mirage mirrors will give you Mirage Cloak. Distortion does not, but you'll do a decent amount of damage. You see there I did like 900 damage after my Mirage Cloak ended, 900, 800, and that does a decent amount of damage over time, and just picking up the Mirage mirrors as well will do a little bit of damage. So it adds up over time because you're constantly dodging, and it'll remove boons. So it's really good in team fights where you're just constantly sitting on top of someone using the Mirage Thrust, and then you'll hit the Dune Cloak as well. So it's really good for just sticking to targets and removing their sustain, and really good in duels because most duelists survive using boons. So it's kind of like an anti-bunker duelist. So that's pretty much the build there. Obviously you want to have double energy sigils on Mirage because that means more dodges. And I have Revocation on the staff to remove more boons, and Absorption on the sword because whenever you interrupt someone, which you often will do with your Mirage Thrust, you'll remove more boons there. And then obviously Scholar Berserker, because if you're very tanky through the invulnerability, then you can afford to go that aggressive in your stats because you don't really have traits that allow you to do that. The role of the build is first and foremost a duelist, but since no one is going to contest me at home, I'm going to go into the team fight at mid where I can get some good value for my team through giving Alacrity and Aegis and some revive potential. So I see that my Reaper is really pressured. They go down. There's not really much I can do about that, so I'm just going to try to pressure the first target here, which is their Weaver. And I see that they go into Lich, so we're going to try to pressure the Lich by blinding it, trying to CC it if I can, and I can even distort on top of the Lich, which will basically destroy the projectiles for my teammates. But yeah, there's not really a very clear target here, so I'm backing off, making sure that I can survive. I do see that their core necro is very low, so I immobilize, do the Jaunt combo into F1 Mind Rack, and that allows us to get the kill. Now I'm playing very safe, just spamming Distortion near my team here to help them survive, while also cleaving with Mirage Thrust, which also Dune Cloak will remove a lot of boons. We get the next kill on their Weaver with Mirage Thrust here, and now we can get the Stomp, which revives our Daredevil. Now the Reaper is definitely the kill. I get the Immobilize, the Mirage Thrust, and we get a big 3000 Mirage Thrust there, which is going to allow us to get the kill very quickly. And now I can push into Far. I'm spamming a little bit of Alacrity there, which can help me get my Signets back for the next fight, so that's pretty nice. I see that the Weaver's respawning, and This is a pretty decent matchup because with the cleanse on distortion trait, you've got a lot of cleanse, right? But in this specific situation, I was testing different traits and I didn't actually have the distortion cleanse trait. But yeah, I would suggest that you do play that trait. Now, the Reaper is here, so that's really dangerous. Now, this build does not have a lot of tankiness to it. It's mainly surviving based on dodges and distortion. So I have to get out because I can't just survive a Reaper. But I go back in and get 10,000 Spinal Shivered. So we're not in a good spot here. We're pretty much dead off of that one Spinal Shivers. Now obviously that's 10,000, that's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, we have to play a lot more safely and dodge that. So I'm gonna keep kiting with Staff here. And I'm gonna get out of combat here because I see that their Weaver or something is coming in here as well. So I can't really do anything. I have to just reset. And I actually get out of combat, which is really nice. So we're gonna come back in and hopefully not have the same, opener. I'm waiting for the Spinal Shivers. I dodge it, and now we're in a really good spot, so I can play very aggressively now that we've played around that. We're interrupting them, and even though I'm low on cooldowns, they're out of Shroud now, so I want to play very aggressively, but I don't have any interrupt for this Lich, so I get destroyed by the Lich there, which is, that's pretty... that's unfortunate. That happens when you don't time your dodge as well, you run out of resources and they lit you, you're gonna die. So at mid, we're actually doing pretty well. So we're gonna probably go back into mid, try to help our team, prevent them from getting snowballed from my death. And yeah, so our thief is gonna die, but we'll see what the target is here. Now, the enemy Reaper is jumping on my Necro here, so I want to kind of peel for them a little bit. I am going to Mirage Thrust, which is really nice to prevent them from doing much. I get an Interrupt on the Necro there, which removes protection, so that's going to allow us to land a lot of damage. Yeah, so my Reaper just landed their Axe 2, and since there was no protection there, it allowed us to get that kill really quickly. So yeah, that's the power of the Boon Rip on this build. But now we need the next target, so I'm going to chase the Core Necro here and just keep Mirage thrusting on them. I did my Mind Rack there, and now they're out of Shroud, so I'm going to stay on top of them with Jaunt, make sure we get the kill during that window when they don't have Shroud, and just going to very safely cleave with all of my clones and my staff bouncing projectiles, which are kind of nice as well because it'll multi-hit the down body because it's going to bounce between enemies and allies, so it's going to do quite a bit. So yeah, Staff is pretty good at down situations, right? But anyways, we're +1ing this Reaper here. We're going to, they have a lot of Shrouds, so we need to survive through that. Yeah, getting hit twice there without dodging properly is going to be very dangerous, but we do get the kill there. So yeah, I mean, this is a pretty survivable build if you have really good timing, but as you can see, it's really squishy if you don't time your dodges correctly. Farming a little bit of alacrity here to get back my signets before the next fight. So yeah, this is a Condi Soul Beast, and as I said, I don't have the cleanse on distortion trait, so this is going to be a little bit of a difficult matchup for me. So my teammates do arrive actually, which is good. That's going to keep me alive. And now we're just going to chase because we're outnumbering them. We need to play aggressively. So I'm going to use my heal to get the Mirage Thrust to keep up with them. I blink in with my Sword 3 and interrupt them more and more with the Diversion and the Mirage Thrusts, and we get that kill. Now they have a Lich form here, so we have to be safe. I am trying to spam my Distorts in there, but yeah, last time that happened, that was very painful. So I get out, but now they're out of their Lich, they're in Reaper form, so we're going to try to pressure that, but my ally goes down, so I'm going to go for the res here. I can distort, which is going to give Aegis to the down body, and it's going to help me to not get CC'd. And now that we've resed our support, our dedicated support, we could actually counter pressure the Reaper here, so we're gonna get that kill. And now the Core Necro is probably gonna go in for the res, but my staff autos are doing quite a bit of damage, and we can chase this down. So we get the immobilize, and we will do the Jaunt into Mind Rack combo there to get the 3 clone F1 shatter. I see that their Soul Beast is coming in, and I'm just keeping an eye on the down that we just got, making sure they don't go for the res, and just securing that as I try to capture mid. So it's just kind of like a safe play here to try to just get this and then secure that, and then we can move on rather than risking anything. So I'm just capping the node and pressuring the enemies off there, and then I'm going to go into far once we've made sure that everything has gone right. Now heading into far, they're going to have a respawns because we just won a team fight there. I see, yeah, the ranger's pet there is probably telling me that the ranger is here, so I have to be careful because they have respawns as well as the ranger being here. So I'm gonna leave probably. No, actually the ranger has no one helping them, so I'm gonna stay, and actually my necro is coming in, so I'm playing very aggressively. I'm using all of my ambushes as soon as possible with the distortion mirage mirrors, and we're gonna get a really good kill here with the Jaunt into Mind Rack combo, which makes us a 2v1 against the Weaver. So the Weaver says, I don't want to stay here to get 2v1 by a Reaper. Good choice by them to rotate into mid. So I'm going to chase and let the Reaper cap the node, even though I should technically cap it. They were just dealing with the down body, so it was just faster for me to do this. We get a really good kill on their Revenant here because I finish off the kill that had already been pressured by our Thief, it looks like. And now the next target is probably the Weaver. We want to keep pressuring them with the Staff or the Mirage Thrust here. And our Reaper is now in the mix, so we're just constantly using Mirage Thrust. And the Dune Cloak is doing decent damage as well. So we're going to probably get this Weaver down here very easily. I can see that their core necro behind them doesn't have that much support. But yeah, we get the Weaver down, and now we see that their Reaper is here, so I'm just going to keep spamming Mirage Thrust, and that's going to interrupt them, remove boons, and just do damage, lock them down. So it's just really reliable for you to just keep giving your allies that Aegis and keep removing boons and, you know, interrupting the enemy by just spamming Mirage Thrust. It's just very valuable. So here our Thief and I are trying to pressure this Soul Beast here. Now they have their Revenant here as well, but we really need to get the kill on the Soul Beast. I get stuck here in the Binding Root, so I have to use Midnight Signet. And now we're going to try to coordinate an attack on this Revenant because the Ranger escaped. Yeah, just keep on spamming Mirage Thrust. They use their heal, so I'm waiting. I have 3 clones shatter with the Jaunt there, and we're able to finish them off with just spamming auto attacks on Staff because it's a pretty reliable damage. And now we've got a pretty decent hold on the map. We can go into mid and kill the Reaper because that's a high value kill there. So we're going to come in. They have their stability, so we're waiting a little bit. I land the Mirage Thrust. They have their protection now, but I can't interrupt their heal. So we're just going to keep doing damage to them. The rest of our team arrives, and this is really good now. So yeah, this match I had a pretty decent team here because they're getting value off of rotations. And now I'm going to head into far where I'm going to go for the decap. Their necro is going to let me get it. So I'm going to look at the rev here. Yeah, they're going to probably port on me. So as soon as I get the decap, I back off. Try to play a little bit safely because I don't want to get one-shotted by a rev. And just spamming my Staff Mirage ambush there. And yeah, I don't want to stand on the node because I can just see their Reaper, which landed their Spinal Shivers on me, is here as well. So I'm spamming all of my distorts and just trying to survive, giving myself signet illusions, and just rotating between my distortions and my ambushes so that I can constantly kite and survive. I do land a really good interrupt on the Reaper's heal here, but they go into Shroud. Now I put down my Chaos Storm so I can get a little bit more peeled, but the match ends. So if you like this kind of content, like the video, subscribe for more, and check the links in the description if you want to support me or see more content, more builds for PvP. and I will see you all next time.